On today's show, we sit down with author Juliette Kerr and Plymouth Assistant Town Manager Silvio Genao. Hear from the Pembroke Public Library how to make a delicious and nutritious green lentil and potato soup, and talk about upcoming things to do in our area. We're glad you're here. Let's get started. Melissa Mackenzie sat down with author and end-of-life doula Juliette Kerr to talk about what motivates her work.
So Juliette, thank you so much for joining us here on the local scene and on our set. Can you share a little bit about your background and what drew you to writing?
Well, yeah, I'd love to share. Thank you for having me. I grew up in Long Beach, California, and it's kind of the home of the Queen Mary.
Yep.
And I moved to another place that had an important ship in its harbor, the Mayflower, and here in Plymouth in 2008, but I came with my husband and 3 sons. I have always been a writer. I've enjoyed writing from a really early age. I'm the kind of person that would write you poems for a birthday gift or something like that. I'll give you a gift and I'll write you a poem. But it's just been kind of in my DNA. I went to school, studied English, kind of went off the beaten path, didn't do business or anything like that. And in 1996, I was in Scotland at the University of St. Andrews and got a master's in Shakespeare.
Wow.
Which was a fun experience, yeah. And so I came away with that with a master's degree and a boyfriend who would be my future husband. So it was a twofer.
That was worth it.
It was worth it. But then I've been a stay-at-home mom most of my life in my adult years. But during that time, I went to seminary at Gordon Conwell up north in Hamilton and got a second master's degree in spiritual formation. And that kind of led to me opening up a business, a companioning business called The Rose and Poppy. And it focuses on end-of-life doula care and spiritual direction.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah, and kind of just in the midst of that, I've been writing. So kind of in my spare time or free time, and when I had a minute, I would have my husband take the kids, and I would just, find a quiet place to write.
I was going to say, how hard was that to actually, for the process, what was that like to?
Well, it took me a really long time. I started 8 years ago writing this book, and I kind of forgot about it. I left it on my computer for years because I got too busy. And then I kind of came back to it 2 or 3 years ago, started to hone it, tie up loose ends, make the story a little tighter, and then went about trying to get it published. So
wow. So it took a while to get through the process.
It took a while,
really,
yeah.
So the book is called To Fill a Jar with Water. So you're saying about 10-year process to work on that. When you went back to it, did you come at it with like a different viewpoint or like more experiences to craft it?
I did. There's a couple of scenes at the end where I had some editors look at it to kind of help me refine it and hone it. And she just said, I want more, and I was like, goodness gracious, I need to figure out something else. So, about 3 or 4 chapters at the end were added due to suggestions from editors that I had. But yeah, it definitely takes a while. And to tie up loose ends, you don't want to leave any loose ends in the story or unfinished storylines. So you have to make sure that, everything it makes sense and you're capturing, what you want to. I also, I think I made one of my characters, Will, too mean. And I had an editor say to me, bad people aren't bad all the time and good people aren't good all the time. And so how can we make Will a little likable? So most people don't like Will even after I've written in, kind of his humanity. But I actually really cared about him by the end of writing it. And I think he has a special transformational story that I hope people see.
So I want to touch on that a little bit because I started reading it. And as we were saying before, it's not an easy book. It touches on a lot of things that can be very personal and that many people have experiences with at, through one way or another in their life. Was there a character that you caught on to, or that you was easy to write or was hard to write, or, to kind of flesh out, their life in the book?
Yeah, it's difficult because it's definitely an imaginary story I made up. So, but I found the story kind of brewing within me for a very long time. When I was in high school in California, I had a 4-year period of like a lot of loss and trauma. So my parents split up. My dad was diagnosed with cancer. He died in high school, when I was in high school. Yeah. So I had a lot of trauma and loss that I had to deal with at the same time figuring out who I was as a teenager. And so that's kind of where the story sparked from, was from my own sense of loss as a young person, and kind of how losses and mourning and grief can kind of, it kind of distorts how you process information and the choices that you make. And so the story is hard. One of the characters, Daniel, lives at a sober house. He and his brother are definitely dealing with alcoholism, as well as one of the sisters named Carrie. And, it just kind of tells the backstory as to why they've made such unhealthy choices. And it's from these traumas and kind of mourning the loss of some difficult things that have happened in their life that leads them to that. And I think that's real. So it's definitely not a book that you'll put down and you can forget about. It's usually a book that people have commented that they think about for, quite a few days afterwards.
It lingers.
It definitely lingers.
I find myself picking up on little bits, just the small parts that I've read so far.
Yeah.
It's like it stays with you after you walk away from it.
Yeah.
There's writing in there about loneliness but also connections, good and bad, and how we handle that. So looking at, in the midst of what we've gone through the epidemic and a loss of humans being connected to one another, and how important that is, how can we take from the book and apply it to our lives, the lessons?
Sure. In the book, all of my characters struggle with loneliness. The first sentence of the book starts with Rose describing her loneliness. And so, Rose has loneliness not connecting with her family in ways that she wants to, and that kind of seeps into her everyday life. Carrie is lonely because she's dealing with really horrific trauma by herself. Then you have Daniel and Will, who are dealing with emotional trauma and kind of physical abandonment by their parents, and that's very difficult. But I think at the heart of it is everyone wants to be seen and heard and known, and loved and cared for despite our differences. That we can have differences and still feel cared about and known. And I think people are just looking not for transactional relationships, but more transformational relationships where you can, where you both have mutual respect, caring, love, humor, just want the best for each other. And I think that in life at the moment, I notice lots of transactional relationships, but we all want transformational ones that where you can be yourself, authentic self, and that people aren't going to go anywhere just because maybe you're a little different, or just being yourself.
And what I like with what I've read so far in the book is the relationship that Daniel's developing with the owner of the business that he works for. And you can just see him so lightened by that when he's dealing with so many heavy things in his life. Absolutely. And just how you wrote that was just so beautiful. Was that something that was, that was inspired you from something else?
Absolutely. We all need people to come alongside us when we're having a difficult time. And yeah, that was really important for me to write characters in there. Mr. Bailey at the nursery, and then we have Dottie at my reimagined BJ's, the big box store. And they come alongside these young people as they're really struggling. And I think I wrote that because it's maybe what I wanted when I was growing up. I you know, with all the devastation and loss in high school, I didn't really have a lot of people to walk with me on that kind of painful journey. And you know, everyone deserves someone to come alongside them, family or not, that kind of just helps them out and kind of takes their hand and walks with them through difficult stuff. So,
what is it in your life as the spiritual advisor, as the writer, and then all the work you do that brings you the most joy?
There's a common theme of I don't want people to think that they're alone in life. And that's kind of what brings my story all together. You know, as an end-of-life doula, you know, I'm journeying with people at the end of life. As a spiritual director, I'm journeying with people on their own faith journey. And as a writer, you know, C.S. Lewis said, we write to know we're not alone, or we read to know we're not alone. And I love that. You know, I think that I write to let people know that even though they've been through difficult things or happy things, that there are people that can share in that experience with you. So that's what I care most about, is letting people know they're not alone.
Oh, yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been great to talk with you and to get to know you a little bit more. And we'll direct people to, you know, to your website.
Oh, great. Yeah, here's a little bit to the book. But I just want to say thank you for having me, and it's just been a pleasure to be with you today.
Oh, thank you again.
Thank you.
To see more of Juliette's work, visit theroseandpoppy.com. Cicero said, if you have a garden and a library, you have everything you need. On Saturday, May 18th from 10:30 to noon, get growing at the Plymouth Public Library's Community Garden Planting Day. Celebrate the new growing season and help sow the seeds for vegetables, flowers, and herbs. Meet your neighbors, get your hands in the soil, and some practical information about what to grow in your garden. Please register for the event through the library's website. Mosaic is the art form of assembling tesserae, or small pieces of stone, glass, or ceramic into a pictorial whole that is more beautiful than its individual parts. If you'd like to explore your artistic talent for piecing things together, join the Kingston Public Library on Friday, May 24th for Create Your Own Mosaic Coasters, a craft workshop for teens and adults beginning at 3 p.m. In this hour-and-a-half program, you'll create a set of 2 mosaic coasters to take home with you. Reserve your spot on the library's website. Next up, Julie Thompson takes a closer look at the town of Plymouth.
Today on A Closer Look, we're taking a closer look at the town of Plymouth, and specifically the office of the Assistant Town Manager. And we're very lucky to be joined by the new Assistant Town Manager, Silvio Genao. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being here. So, you have been in this position for a very short amount of time.
Yes, I've been in the position for just shy of 2 months.
Okay.
And enjoying every minute of it.
Great. Before we get into what you're doing now, let's talk a little bit about you. Your background. Where did you grow up? Where did you go to school? Go.
Absolutely. So I grew up in the Dominican Republic. So I went to school down there too for my bachelor's degree. I have a bachelor's degree in civil engineering.
Okay.
And then after I moved here, I went to UMass Dartmouth and I got my master's degree in public policy with a focus on public administration.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And you've lived in this area?
Oh yes, I've lived my whole life that I've lived in the United States. I've lived in this area, which is half of my life. So
yeah.
I came over at a young age, and I've lived on the Cape and on the islands my whole life. So
wow. Yeah. So you love being near the ocean?
I can't be away from the ocean.
Yeah.
I love the ocean. It's just beautiful to be in a community that's surrounded by water,
yeah.
and I love taking walks by the water every day. Is something that just refreshes me, and I can't see myself not living anywhere near the water
Oh,
ever.
I know. I feel the same way. Now, you're on the Cape, closer to the end than to the
Correct.
canal side, so you have water on both sides.
I do.
And you love that.
I love that because it doesn't matter. It's a stone's throw away.
Yeah.
I can get to the ocean, get to the bay within a short walk, a short drive. So it's lovely.
So
And
you
I'm
love
very
it.
grateful for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about what you're doing. Before you got to this position in Plymouth, you worked in other jobs in Plymouth, but before Plymouth, where are some other places that you've worked?
Absolutely. So my public sector career started in the town of Barnstable. I used to work in, I used to live in the town of Barnstable as well. And I've worked for the DPW in a variety of positions. After that, I worked for the town of Nantucket, where I was the town engineer there.
Yeah.
And then my third community was actually Plymouth. I worked as the assistant DPW director for a short time. After that, I worked for the town of Eastham, where I currently live, as their DPW director.
Okay.
And then I came back to Plymouth as the HR director, and that's where my career took a different path, which I'm very appreciative and happy for. And then I did a short stint as the assistant town administrator for the town of Wellfleet.
Okay.
And now I'm back in Plymouth as
Okay.
the assistant town manager.
So going from DPW and engineering kind of to HR is quite a different role.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I like about our community and our organization. In most communities, when you work for the town, you get siloed into just a specific type of job. Our organization is so large and values talent so much that you have the opportunity to see, okay, if there's something else that's interesting to you, if there's something else that's more specific to your talent, and if there's something else you want to try, you can give it a try. So I love working with people.
Yeah.
I love talking to people.
Obviously.
I love helping people.
Yeah.
So when this opportunity came up and the town manager offered me the position, I was elated because
Excellent.
it moved me away, as you mentioned, from what I've always done to something that's more what I would want to do.
Excellent. Now I want to ask you, your current position, what are your direct areas of responsibility as the assistant town manager?
Well, that's the beauty of my job, that I get to be involved in a little bit of everything, right? So it's the responsibilities of the job are right there in the title. I assist the town manager in whatever the town manager needs at any point in time.
Okay.
And as you know, the town manager gets involved with every aspect of the town.
Right.
So that's one of my favorite parts of the job, that I get to be involved from 1 minute in personnel issues to the next minute in finance issues. And then after that, maybe recreation or health and human services topics. So I feel like I get to be involved with a little bit of everything. And, you know, I get to be, I guess, a jack of all trades,
Yeah.
a master of none.
Yeah.
But I evolve and I try to help wherever I can. So right now, mostly personnel things.
Right.
With town meeting coming up, a lot of town meeting related things. But again, the job evolves as the town's needs evolve.
Whatever it is. On any given day, it could
On
be
any
anything.
given day.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that having this background in both HR and DPW gives you a lot more background than probably most assistant town managers could bring to this job.
Well, I'm glad you said it and not me. So 100%.
Yeah.
It's very helpful because the town of Plymouth is such a large community, obviously the largest in area in the whole state. And having an understanding of infrastructure in any community is very important. Some of the major assets and major investments that a community makes is going to be on infrastructure.
Absolutely.
So understanding that, but on the management side, understanding how that impacts the finances is definitely very helpful to me in my position. Similarly, with personnel, the biggest investment any community makes outside of capital on their operating side of the budget is staffing.
Is there people?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
making sure that that asset is tip-top shape, that they feel like they want to work in the organization, that they feel supported is also very helpful to the success of the organization. So yes, I feel like having a background on both of those things has been very helpful.
Yeah, I'm sure Derek is thrilled.
Well, I will ask him, we'll see.
What do you embrace most about this job, aside from being able to obviously communicate with people?
Oh my God, it's very simple. It's the fulfillment of getting to do something every day where you help people or you impact their lives positively, right? Any job in the private sector may have some of those things, but when you work in the public sector, folks come to you for assistance. And to be able to say at the end of the day, when I'm going home and where I'm having dinner, I say, today I did this and I helped this person in this way, it's the most fulfilling thing in the world. It's addictive, at least to me, and
Yeah.
I can't get enough of it. So I love that part of the job.
That is wonderful. What do you think is the greatest challenge of this job?
Well, the greatest challenge is obviously the diversity of challenges that come your way, for lack of a better word, is to be able to be focused 100% on every particular issue, no matter when it comes, and to be able to switch gears quickly so you can be effective in helping people. But again, as long as I keep, like I tell myself all the time, as long as I keep that in mind, that my goal is to help people, the answers will always come.
Right.
So it is a challenge, but it's a welcome challenge, and I enjoy it.
And to a point you made earlier about how big the town is and how huge the town is and how many people work for the town, I would think that, and you also said that you never know on any given day what's going to happen. The amount of knowledge that you're going to have to gain or know or keep in your head for a whole bunch of different subjects is pretty massive. How do you keep it all straight?
That's where the engineering background comes in being organized, and being able to establish processes that make me effective in doing my job. It's something that I've been doing since I've been in engineering school, and that's served me well in every job and in my personal life, to be honest with you. To stay organized, stay on top of things, and make sure that things don't fall through the cracks. But then the personnel side also taught me you can't do everything by yourself. Everything is a team approach. Being able to have good people who work with you, who support you, and you support them is how we're successful. No one person does everything. It's always a team effort.
To see this interview in its entirety, please visit the Local Scene Government Services YouTube page.
Break out your favorite Hawaiian shirt and flip-flops for a night at the theater. The Priscilla Beach Theater is presenting Escape to Margaritaville, a musical comedy following the escapades of Tully Mars, a singer and part-time bartender who falls in love with Rachel, a career-minded tourist. Written by Greg Garcia and Mike O'Malley, the show features some of your favorite Jimmy Buffett songs, including Cheeseburger in Paradise, It's 5 O'Clock Somewhere, Finn's Volcano, and of course, Margaritaville. The show is running from May 29th through June 8th, with a matinee on Sunday, June 2nd. For more information and to get your tickets, visit the theater's website at pbtheater.com. The Priscilla Beach Theater is at 800 Rocky Hill Road in Plymouth. Sheep Day is back at Soul Homestead on Saturday, May 18th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. There will be sheepdog and sheep shearing demonstrations, a variety of fiber arts presentations, a kids area with crafts and activities, local vendors and artisans, and all kinds of delicious lunch and refreshment options. The farm's goats, chickens, bunnies, and sheep are looking forward to your visit. This is sure to be a fun day the whole family will enjoy. All proceeds from this event go toward preserving the historic farm. Soul Homestead is located at 46 Soul Street in Middleborough. Visit the website at soulhomestead.com for tickets. Next up is Chef Jerry Levine with a nutritious and delicious recipe for green lentil and potato soup with special guest, our own Tom Bolus.
Good morning and welcome to Delicious and Nutritious. This is a collaboration between Plymouth Center for Active Living, Beth Israel Deaconess Hospital, Plymouth, Chef Jerry Levine, and Pat TV. And we're happy to have you here. Today we are going to talk about lentils. And Jerry has created an awesome recipe called green lentil potato soup. So got some beautiful colors, some beautiful flavors and textures, and we think you're going to love it. So let's watch the video and see how it is prepared.
Good morning, Jerry. Good morning, Tom. Folks, this is Chef Jerry Levine, and he is a dynamite cook. And so what are you making me for lunch today?
Well, Tom, I'm making a really nice winter dish today. It is called green lentil soup. It's very flavorful. It is all vegetarian, and you're going to like it. And the bottom line is it's healthy.
I can't wait. I'm going to get out of here and let you go to work.
Okay. Today we're going to do a green lentil potato soup, and it has a really good nutritional profile, and it's warm, and it's a wonderful thing for wintertime. So first thing, I want you to take a look and notice I've got all my ingredients. And I like to do this, and the French have this wonderful term called mise en place, which means everything in place. And it makes it so much easier to work when you have all of your things. I've got onions, garlic, carrots, potatoes, and you'll notice that the potatoes are covered with water because I don't want the potatoes to turn brown. All right, we have green lentils, and I have washed the lentils because sometimes you find that there might be a little bit of sand in it. All right, now our ingredient plate right here, got a bay leaf, we've got tomato paste, we've got a lovely low sodium butter, and we also have rosemary and fresh ground black pepper and kosher salt. So we've got it all started. Now the only thing that I haven't mentioned is that I am using a chicken broth, but I'm using a special chicken broth. This is a chicken broth that has low sodium. Purpose being is I want to be able to control the salt level. So that's what I'm going to be using. And so we're getting ready to do this right now. And now we look at my utensils. And I am using a very nice heavy bottom pot, which will give me nice, easy, even cooking. And let's start. So first thing we do is we need to put the butter in, and we need to melt it. So we put the butter in, and we've got the pan warming already, and the butter goes in there. And we also are going to take, once the butter starts to melt, and it's doing its thing, so we're going to take now, and we're going to take the garlic and the onion, and we're going to put the carrots in there also, and we're going to hold off on the potatoes for just a bit, and we are rolling nicely here, and let's get all the carrots in here. We don't want to forget anybody. Okay, so the carrots go in. Now we've got the carrots in there, and we have one of my favorite utensils, which is a wooden spoon. And we're going to mix it up a little bit here. And we are going to put the lid on, and this will be cooked for approximately 5 minutes. Why am I cooking it for 5 minutes? Because I want to soften the onion just a bit. Okay. That's fine. So now we've got our 5 minutes cooking time done, and the onion is softened. And I now take, and I'm going to put in my lentils. And the lentils are in. And I'm going to add 2 cups of broth. So we'll take this here, and we'll put it into my Pyrex measuring cup. And we're almost there, and we just hit the 2 mark. Good. Okay, so in that goes, and we stir it in. And that is fine. And now we're going to put the cover on, and this is going to be cooked for about 10 minutes. Okay, now to finish this off, we need to add a couple more things here for flavor. So what we do for flavor is we go to our flavor dish, and we put in the black pepper, we put in the dried rosemary, we put in the salt, we put in our dried bay leaf, and we put in our tomato paste. And the tomato paste is one of those things that has a huge amount of flavor, and the Japanese love to call it umami. And that's what it is. It's umami. Okay, right now we have plated our green lentil potato soup, and it's right in this nice bowl. And take a look at that. You see the nice chunks of potatoes and the carrots, and you look at the lovely lentils, and look at the lentils. The lentils are not broken up. That's why I wanted it to simmer. Now we're going to just finish this off for Tom right there. And now let's make this nice and pretty. So we're going to add a little bit of this here. And this is one of my favorite parsleys. It's an Italian parsley. And there we go. Now, if I were going to bring this to the table, I would take a bunch of this parsley and I would decorate the top of it, and I would serve it with a serving spoon. Now, if I can get my producer to come around, and let's see what...
Hey, Jerry, is my lunch ready yet? Oh, it is. Ha-ha.
Go for it, Tom.
Let's give this a try, see how this tastes. That is awesome. That is absolutely awesome.
It is simple, it is straightforward, it looks good, it smells good, and it has a good nutritional profile, and it's going to warm up the old tummy during the wintertime.
Absolutely. Watch Delicious and Nutritious on the local scene, also on YouTube. Until next time, folks, Jerry's going to cook something special. Can't wait to see what it is. Ciao for now.
Bye now.
So Jerry, you're the iPhone too?
I'm on the iPhone.
Okay, that looked awesome. So I'm going to pull up the nutrition profile of this, and then we'll head back to Jerry for questions, okay? So I think you can see, everyone can see the green lentil potato soup recipe?
Yep.
Yep, okay, awesome. So this could easily be a meal in and of itself, or it could be a side. Calories are 184, which is on the low side. If you were going to have it as a meal, I would suggest that you have maybe a salad or some bread, a little something else with it. It's got 12 grams of protein, which is pretty good. For most people, I recommend 20 to 30 grams. So if you had a little side salad or some vegetables with this, you'd get another few grams of protein, maybe a glass of milk or have some yogurt for dessert. The sodium is really low thanks to that low sodium chicken broth that Jerry chose to use, 372 milligrams, which is considered on the lower side. Good source of carbohydrate, not over the top for any diabetics. But another important thing to consider is that carbohydrate is coming with about 5 grams of fiber, which is beneficial to glucose management. No added sugar, which I always love to see. Only 1 little tiny gram of saturated fat, which is the one that we try to stay away from for our heart health. And it's also a good source of iron and potassium, both great minerals to help with every aspect of your cells and your bodies. So it's an awesome recipe. I never knew that I liked lentils until I tried lentil soup. And one question that I'm going to ask Jerry is, I want to show you another slide before I ask him, so he kind of knows what direction I'm going in here. So these are the different varieties of lentils that we can see. So these are called red, even though they're orange. We've got green, which is what Jerry used to make the recipe, I believe. And there's a black, a brown, a tan, a yellow. And lentils are an awesome legume, or pulse, actually, they're called a pulse. And they are prevalent like in so many of our international foods, in American food, cuisine, Middle Eastern cuisine, Indian cuisine. So they're super versatile, and every nation seems to find a way to use them. Affordable, rich in protein, rich in fiber, rich in carbohydrate, rich in iron. So they're a really great thing to add to your diet if you've never thought about them. So I'm going to stop this share, and I'd love to hear Jerry's viewpoint on two things. What else can we do with lentils? And what if we chose to use red or brown or a different color lentil versus the green ones? Would it change the flavor? It's not going to change the nutrient profile, but I'm not too sure how it would change the flavor and those other things.
Marcia, I can answer your question.
Thank goodness.
Okay, let's start off by, yes, there's a variety of lentils, a minimum of 5. The one that I tended to use is a lentil that takes a lot of, that cooks really well, and it doesn't break up, because it was important to me to be able to keep that shape. Now, the other lentils, especially the red ones, or the orange one, they tend to break up, and I really didn't want to do that. Now, the question, the second part of your question is, what else can you do with these things? All right, well, you know, you can actually turn this dish into something that's totally vegetarian, and that is by just taking, instead of using the low sodium chicken stock, use a low sodium vegetable stock made by the same company that makes the low sodium chicken stock. And the other thing that you can do is that you can put in some little pieces of chopped beef. And so it gives you more of that umami-ness. You can put in some chicken or pork, and that would work also quite well. But, and here's a unique idea, is that you can cook the lentils, and then you can cool them and add the green lentils to a salad. Think about the nutritional value of that.
Great idea.
So those are basically the lentil is very versatile. Besides, and you certainly have brought up the point about its nutritional value, and that's one of the reasons why we eat lentils. And besides, it also has a nice taste to it. I like the green lentils because I like the texture and I like the shape of it. The other lentils are quite usable, but they need to be cooked for a shorter period of time, and you want to make sure that you don't overcook them because they will fall apart. And that's not what I wanted. I wanted something that stayed together. And our producer, Tom, will tell you that we didn't break up the lentils when we cooked them. And so that's, I think that answers your question.
Yeah, Tom has a great job. He gets to taste everything.
Yeah.
We get to sit and look and watch and think about how delicious it is, huh? So
well, this whole show revolves around Tom's appetite.
Tom's palate. So
actually, you did. And what was your comment from your wife?
5 stars. Okay, very good. I'm gonna make it. Any other questions? No.
I
do have
just
another
paid.
one. Oh, go
I
ahead.
just paid attention to the simmering part. That just seemed like such a good idea to just really do it gently, and so I will certainly make sure that I do that.
Yeah.
Well, you know, one of the things is when I cook, I am a big taster. And what am I tasting for? I'm tasting for salt level. I'm tasting for some of the flavoring levels. I'm tasting for doneness or texture. And so while you're cooking the lentils, you know, cook it for about 8 or 10 minutes. And then just take your little wooden spoon and taste it and say to yourself, the texture is a little bit hard, so we cook it for just maybe another 4 or 5 minutes. and then do the tasting again. Taste is critical. And that goes along with one of my other favorite things is use a thermometer. You don't need it in this case, but if you're cooking a nice piece of fish, don't overcook the fish. So that's why we use a thermometer.
All right, always great advice. And believe it or not, our time has come to a close. It always goes by way too fast. So Jerry and I thank you for being here. We could not do Delicious and Nutritious without your participation. We'd like to thank Plymouth Center for Active Living, and PAC TV and BID Plymouth, where I am from, for their support as well.
Are you ready for the spotlight with an original song, poem, spoken word, or comedy act to share with a friendly audience? The Plymouth Center for Active Living is hosting an open mic night on Tuesday, May 14th, starting at 5:30 p.m. Call Beth Hadfield at 508-830-4230 to sign up for your time slot. If your performance needs audio accompaniment, please bring a CD with you. If performing is not your thing, you are welcome and encouraged to come on down and enjoy the show as a supportive member of the audience. Cal is located at 44 Nook Road in Plymouth. Welcome the blooming of the warm weather months by listening to live music under an open sky. On Saturday, May 18th, the Tessera String Trio will launch the Duxbury Senior Center's Encore Outdoor Concert Season. The show is from 2 to 3 p.m. and costs just $5 per person. Register to reserve a seat through the center's website at duxburyseniorcenter.org. If the weather proves uncooperative, the concert will be held inside. If you're an LGBTQ+ person looking for fellow outdoors enthusiasts or just want to get outside and meet some new queer friends, join Plymouth Pride on Saturday, May 11th at 11 a.m. for a group hike in the Miles Standish Forest. You'll traverse the East Head Loop, a 2.6-mile-long trail that winds along the shoreline of the East Head Reservoir. Water and comfortable shoes appropriate for a bumpy dirt trail are recommended. The Hike with Plymouth Pride group will meet in the lot at the park headquarters near the Carver entrance to the state forest. Look for the Pride flag. The Miles Standish State Forest headquarters is located at 194 Cranberry Road in Carver. Here's some news from Pembroke Public Library.
Hi there, my name is Peter Santori, and I'm the Reference and Adult Services Librarian at the Pembroke Public Library. I wanted to talk to you today about Libby, the library reading app. Coming to us from Overdrive, the Libby app is a place you can go to borrow and download ebooks, audiobooks, and magazines. The Libby app is available to everyone with a library card and can be found on your preferred app store. Once you've downloaded it, you need to say that you have a library card, then search for the Sales Library Network. The app will give you a list of locations to pull from, and you'll need to pick Sales Library Patrons. Then just enter your library card number and your PIN, and you're ready to start browsing. Libby is divided up into 4 primary sections. Search, where you can find specific books or explore what's available. Library, where you can browse recommendations and suggestions provided by your library. The Shelf lets you manage the books you have on hold, the books you have borrowed, and apply tags to help you organize everything that you've read. Finally, the Timeline lets you keep track of what you've already read. Download Libby today to start reading, and if you want to learn the ins and outs of the app, come to the library on May 8th at 1:30 p.m., where we'll cover what you need to know.
Proms are not exclusively for high school seniors. The Plymouth Networking Group, PNG, invites Plymouth area senior citizens to Puttin' on the Ritz, their annual prom on Monday, May 20th at the Center for Active Living. The swanky fun starts at 1 p.m. and is sure to be a ball, with live music performed by the Play It Again band, dancing, and refreshments. The event is free to Plymouth area seniors. However, space is very limited and tickets will be issued through a computer-generated attendance raffle. To enter, call Cal at 508-830-4230 by May 6th. We all know how vocal our stomach can be when it's hungry, but what about the body's strong and silent center? Your brain handles the whole package, controlling thoughts, movement, breathing, your heartbeat, senses, and that grumbling stomach alerting you that it's time for a meal. Fueling your brain with a constant supply of healthy brain-boosting foods is essential. On Tuesday, May 21st at 10 a.m., the Pembroke Council on Aging invites you to join BID Plymouth's registered dietitian and community liaison, Marcia Richards, to learn more about what the best brain-boosting foods are to feed your hungry mind. To RSVP, please call 781-294-8220. And that, my friends, wraps this episode of What's Good and Good to Know in our area. We are grateful for your attention. We'll see you next time. For more of what's good and good to know on the South Shore of Massachusetts, hit the subscribe button, and thank you for watching.